I didn't cry at my dad's funeral. Not even one tear. People probably thought I was heartless. But how do you cry for someone who hurt you your entire life? How do you be sad for someone who made you scared every single day? I was 26 when my father died. Standing at his grave, I made myself a promise. I would never be like my mom. I would never let a man treat me the way he treated her. 3 months later, I met Marcus, and keeping that promise became the hardest thing I've ever done, because sometimes the things we swear we'll never do are exactly what we end up doing anyway. It was raining the day we buried my father. The sky was crying, even if I couldn't. I stood there watching them lower his casket into the ground. My mom had already left. She got in her car without saying a word to anyone. That was typical. She never spoke up. Never fought back. Never protected me, and honestly, I hated her for it. But standing there in the rain, I realized something scary. I kind of understood why she stayed. When you grow up in a house where I love you comes with violence, when staying quiet is the only way to stay safe, when you watch your mom get hurt over and over and just take it, you learn the wrong things about love. Your brain gets confused about what love is supposed to feel like. I was 8 years old the first time I saw my dad hit my mom. We were eating spaghetti for dinner. He threw his plate at the wall because mom forgot to buy his beer. "You're useless," he said. One word. But the way he said it made her seem like nothing. She didn't cry. She just got up, grabbed a towel, and cleaned the mess. Like it was normal. Like this happened every Tuesday. I sat there with my fork in my hand, frozen. And that's when I decided I will never ever be like her. I was 16 when I finally stood up to him. He came home drunk and started yelling about dinner being cold. He raised his hand at my mom, and I stepped in front of her. "Touch her again," I said, my voice shaking. "And I'm calling the cops. I'll tell them everything." He stared at me. Then he laughed. A mean, cold laugh. "You think you're strong?" he said. "You're just like her. Weak, broken. No guy will ever want you." Those words stuck to me like glue. I couldn't shake them off. 10 years later, he had a heart attack and died. Just like that. No big moment. No apology. Just gone. And I felt nothing. Or at least that's what I told myself. 3 weeks after the funeral, I moved to Boston. New city, new job, new life. I thought I could just start over and leave everything behind. But here's the thing about running away from your problems. You take them with you. The first month was lonely as hell. I'd walk around the city at night, watching couples hold hands, watching families laugh together. And I felt like I was watching through a window, like I was there, but not really part of it. One night, I found this old rooftop. There was a rusty door that led up to it. Nobody really went there. The view was amazing. The whole city lit up below me, lights everywhere. For the first time since Dad died, I could breathe. Pretty cool up here, right? I jumped and spun around. A guy was standing near the door. Tall, dark hair, good-looking. He stepped into the light, and I saw his eyes. Brown. Warm. Like he actually saw me. "I didn't know anyone else came up here," I said, stepping back automatically. He smiled. "Same. I come here when I need to get away from everything." He held out his hand. "I'm Marcus," I hesitated. His hand just hung there in the air. For a second, I heard my dad's voice in my head. "No guy will ever want you." But I shook his hand anyway. "Amelia." His handshake was gentle but confident. Not too hard. Not controlling. We talked for 2 hours. He told me about his finance job and how his family always expected him to be perfect. I told him not much. Just that I was new to Boston and starting over. I didn't mention my dad. Didn't mention the funeral. Didn't mention any of the heavy stuff. When we said goodbye, he smiled. A real smile, and asked, "Same time tomorrow?" I should have said no. Should have walked away. But I didn't. "Yeah, sure." That's how it started. Every night we'd meet on that rooftop. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we just sat there quietly watching the city. He made me laugh. Real laughs. The kind where your stomach hurts. For the first time ever, I felt like someone actually saw me. Like I wasn't invisible. But here's the scary part. When you've spent your whole life hiding, being seen feels dangerous. Like standing naked in front of everyone, it felt good. But it also terrified me. 3 weeks later, Marcus asked me on a real date. Not just hanging out on a rooftop. An actual dinner date. I said yes. The restaurant was nice. Dim lights, soft music, fancy tables. Marcus pulled out my chair like a gentleman. Ordered wine. Asked about my day. He was perfect. Too perfect. "You're different from other girls," he said, looking right into my eyes. "You're so strong. So independent. You don't need anyone." I smiled. But something felt off. Independent. That's what people call you when you won't let anyone get close. "Tell me about your family," he said, leaning forward. "You never talk about them." My chest got tight. "There's not much to say." "Come on," he pushed. Everyone has family stories. My dad died recently, I said. The words tasted bad in my mouth. We weren't close. Marcus reached across the table and grabbed my hand. His hand was warm, comforting. I'm so sorry, he said. That must be really hard. I pulled my hand back. Not mean, just carefully. It's fine, I said. I'm okay. His face changed for just a second. He looked disappointed. Mad, maybe. It was gone too fast to tell. You don't always have to be strong, you know, he said quietly. Not with me, and that right there should have felt sweet. But instead, it felt like a trap. Over the next few weeks, Marcus started changing, small things at first. He'd text me all the time. Good morning, beautiful. Thinking of you. Sweet, right? Except the text came at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. If I didn't answer within an hour, he'd send more. Everything okay? He'd ask super detailed questions about my day. Where I went. Who I talked to. What I ate. He said he was just interested. That he cared. But it felt like he was checking up on me. One night, I went to dinner with Sarah from work. Just girls hanging out. I told Marcus about it beforehand. When I got home, my phone was exploding. How was dinner? What did you guys talk about? Is Sarah the single one? Are you home? Amelia? Hello? 15 messages in 2 hours. I called him, my hands shaking. Marcus, this is way too much. Then, I was just worried about you. The city's not safe at night. I care about you, Amelia. Is that wrong? His voice sounded hurt. Like I was being mean to him for no reason. And just like that, I felt guilty. That's when I knew something was really wrong. Not in my head. Not in words I could explain. But my body knew. Alarm bells were ringing. I'd seen this before. I'd lived this before. My dad used to do the exact same thing. He'd question my mom about everything. Who she talked to. Where she went. Where every penny went. He called it caring about her. But it wasn't care. It was control. And when she couldn't answer fast enough, when she hesitated even a little, he'd explode. Sometimes with fists. Sometimes just with words. Cold, mean words that made her feel small. You're hiding something. You think I'm stupid? What kind of wife are you? And my mom would apologize. She'd say sorry for things she didn't even do. For made-up problems that only existed in his head. I watched it happen for 18 years, and I swore I'd never be her. So when Marcus started asking too many questions, when his texts felt like demands, when he just happened to show up at my office, I should have run away immediately. But here's the messed up truth. You don't run from what feels familiar. Even when it's bad. Because at least you know what to expect. At least you know how this story ends. Everything exploded on a Tuesday night. I was working late. Big project, tight deadline. I texted Marcus earlier saying I'd be busy. At 9 p.m. he called. I let it ring. At 9:15 he called again. I ignored it. At 9:30 another call. I turned my phone on silent. At 10 p.m. I walked out to my car and Marcus was standing there. Just waiting. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice harder than I meant. You weren't answering, he said. His face looked worried and angry at the same time. I was worried. I told you I was working. For 5 hours straight? Without even 1 second to text me back? I was busy, Marcus. He stepped closer. Not scary close. Not threatening. Just closer than I wanted. Are you avoiding me? His voice got soft. Hurt. Are you seeing someone else? And there it was. The accusation, like I was guilty of something. Like I owed him every second of my time. I'm not doing this, I said, walking past him toward my car. He grabbed my arm. Not hard. Didn't hurt. Just enough to stop me? Don't walk away from me, he said. Time stopped. I looked down at his hand on my arm. Then up at his face. His eyes were intense. Almost begging, and right then, I saw my dad. Clear as day. Marcus didn't look like my dad. They didn't even act the same. But the feeling, the need to control me, the anger when I had space, the way I love you was turning into I own you. It was exactly the same. I ripped my arm away. Don't, ever, grab me like that. Again. My voice was ice cold. My hands were shaking like crazy, but my voice didn't shake. Marcus's face fell apart. Amelia, I'm sorry. I didn't mean I would never hurt you. You're not what? I cut him off. You're not controlling? You're not jealous of everyone I talk to? You're not slowly cutting me off from my friends by acting like you care? That's not fair, isn't it? I was yelling. Right there on the street. I didn't care who heard. You text me constantly. You show up without asking. You question everyone I hang out with. You want to know every single thing about my life. You say it's love, but Marcus, that's not love. That's ownership. And I already spent 26 years with a man who thought he owned me. Marcus just stared at me. His face went pale. I'm not your dad. No, I said quietly. You're not. But you're showing me exactly what you could turn into. And I won't go through that again. Marcus didn't contact me for 3 days. Part of me felt relieved. Part of me felt heartbroken. And part of me wanted him to fight for me, to prove I was wrong. That's when I knew I needed help. I found a therapist, Dr. Chen. She was in her 50s, had kind eyes, and didn't put up with any BS. In our first session, I told her everything, my dad, my mom, Marcus, how I kept falling into the same trap. She listened to all of it. When I finished, she leaned forward and said something that hit me hard. Amelia, you didn't attract an abuser because something's wrong with you. You were attracted to Marcus's controlling behavior because your brain thinks that's what love feels like. That's what you learned growing up. But here's the good news. You caught it. You saw the pattern. You stopped it before it got worse. That takes serious strength. So what do I do now? I asked. You learn what real healthy love looks like. And that starts with loving yourself, past and all. Over the next few weeks, therapy became my safe place. Dr. Chen taught me about stuff I'd never heard of before. She taught me about warning signs in relationships. Love bombing, when someone gives you crazy amounts of attention right away. Isolation, when they slowly push your friends away. Checking behavior, constant calls, texts, surprise visits. Guilt trips. I was just worried about you. Boundary pushing. Small things that slowly get bigger. Marcus had done every single one, but Dr. Chen also called me out on my stuff. You push everyone away before they can hurt you, she said one day. You shut down completely. You go cold. That's how you protect yourself. But Amelia, protection and loneliness aren't the same thing. She was right. I'd been so focused on not being like my mom, on not accepting abuse, that I'd gone too far the other way. I built walls so high that nobody could get through, good or bad. Healthy love, Dr. Chen explained, is in the middle. It's not being a doormat. It's not being completely alone either. It's two complete people choosing to be together because they want to, not because they need to survive. 4 weeks later, Marcus texted me. Amelia, I've been thinking about what you said. You were right. I've been seeing a therapist too. I don't expect you to forgive me or get back together, but I wanted you to know that I heard you. And I'm working on myself. I'm sorry for making you feel unsafe. You deserved better. I stared at that text for an hour. Part of me wanted to text back. Part of me wanted to believe he'd changed. But Dr. Chen's words played in my head. Real change takes months. Sometimes years. And it's not your job to stick around and wait to see if someone becomes safe. I didn't respond. 2 months into therapy, Dr. Chen asked me something that stopped me cold. Have you forgiven your mother? For what? I asked. For staying with him? For not protecting me? For being human, she said simply. I didn't have an answer. That night, I drove to my childhood home for the first time since the funeral. My mom still lived there in that house full of bad memories. She opened the door looking smaller than I remembered. Older. Tired. Amelia, she said, surprised. What are you doing here? I need to ask you something, I said, my voice shaking. Why did you stay? Why didn't you leave him? Why didn't you protect me? My mom's eyes filled with tears. She let me in, and we sat at the kitchen table where we'd eaten 1,000 silent dinners. I loved him, she said quietly. Not the man he became, but the man he was when we first met. And I kept thinking, if I just loved him enough, if I just tried harder, he'd go back to being that person. But he never did, I said. No, she whispered. He never did. She looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Not weakness. Not fear. Sadness. Deep, deep sadness. I stayed because I didn't think I deserved better, she said. I stayed because he convinced me I was nothing without him. I stayed because I was scared of being alone, and I stayed because leaving felt more dangerous than staying. I'm sorry, she said, tears running down her face. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I made you think this was normal. I'm sorry I failed you. And in that moment, something in me broke open. I wasn't ready to forgive her. Not yet, but I understood her. My mom wasn't weak. She was broken. And there's a difference. I realized something important. If I kept holding on to this anger at her, I wasn't punishing her. I was punishing myself. I'm in therapy, I told her, learning how to be different, how to not repeat the same patterns. She nodded, wiping her eyes. That's good. That's really good. Maybe, I hesitated. Maybe you should try it too. It's not too late, Mom. You can still heal. She looked at me with something that might have been hope. Maybe, she said softly. I left that house feeling lighter, not healed completely, not fixed, but lighter, because breaking the cycle doesn't mean hating the people who came before you. It means understanding them, learning from them, and choosing to do things differently. 6 months after I ended things with Marcus, I was sitting in a coffee shop when someone sat down at my table. I looked up, ready to say the seat was taken, and froze. Marcus, he looked different, lighter, like he'd been carrying heavy bags and finally put them down. "I'm sorry," he said right away, holding up his hands. "I know I shouldn't just show up. I was walking by, saw you through the window, and I just wanted to say thank you." "For what?" I asked. My guard was up, but not as high as before. "For calling me out," he said. "For not accepting my behavior. For making me look at myself." He pulled out his phone and showed me his therapy schedule. "Twice a week for 6 months. Turns out," he said with a sad smile, "I've got my own issues to deal with." My dad wasn't violent, but he was never around unless I was being perfect. I learned that love had conditions, that I had to control everything to feel safe, that if I wasn't watching everything, people would leave. "I was turning into him," he said quietly, "and you stopped me before I completely became him. So thank you." We talked for an hour, not as exes trying to get back together, just as two people who met at the wrong time, who hurt each other, and who were both trying to be better. When we said goodbye, it felt final. Like real closure. "I hope you find what you're looking for," Marcus said. "You too," I said. And I meant it. Here's what I learned from almost becoming my mother. Warning signs aren't always obvious. Sometimes they look like compliments and care. Sometimes they look like love, because to that person, it is love. But it's toxic love. Damaged love. Not healthy love. You can't fix someone else. You can't love them enough to make them better. They have to do that work themselves. And you shouldn't wait around hoping they will. Breaking bad patterns takes awareness. You have to know your triggers. You have to understand your history. You have to catch yourself before you slip back into old habits, before you accept treatment you swore you never would, or before you push away people who are actually good for you. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days I'm strong. Some days I wake up hearing my dad's voice saying I'm worthless. Some days I catch myself saying sorry for things that aren't my fault, or pushing away people who haven't hurt me. That's normal. Getting better doesn't mean being perfect. Most important, you are not your parents. Their story doesn't have to be your story. Their choices don't have to be your choices. You can love differently. You can be loved differently. But first, you have to know what healthy love looks like. And that starts with knowing what it's not. I still go to that rooftop sometimes, not to meet anyone, just to breathe. To remember how far I've come. My dad is still dead. My mom is in therapy now too. Marcus is working on himself. And me? I'm learning that the opposite of abuse isn't being alone forever. It's having boundaries. It's respecting yourself. It's knowing when to stay and when to leave. It's believing you deserve love that doesn't hurt. I'm learning to trust again. Slowly. Carefully. But not fearfully. Because I'm not running from my past anymore. I'm walking toward the life I deserve, and for the first time in 26 years, I'm free.